All right. Well, thank you guys for joining in tonight and popping on the team call. It's so fun to have so many of you on here. So thank you. So tonight we really wanted to focus on the two areas of our business of the business that we've been getting a lot of questions about lately. And those two areas are recruiting and then closing. Like when you have people interested, how do you actually get them to make the leap? And then, as far as recruiting goes, how do you go about recruiting? What kind of conversations do you have? Who should you be talking to? And so as we kind of get started tonight, I wanted to start off by just, Bridget said she likes your hat a lot better. I wanted to start off and talk about why is it important to think about the recruiting, phase as soon as possible. I think a lot of times coaches will start off and you're so new and there's so much to learn that you kind of don't think about that for maybe a while, when really the business is all about, there's really two different ways to grow your business. And if you're someone who wants to grow your business quickly, you're going to need to push yourself out of your comfort zone and start to focus on recruiting. So the two different phases of the business is really the I do phase and then the we do phase. So the I do phase is what we consider the retail side of the business, where you are selling, to customers, you're getting that 25% commission, which is great. In the beginning, it's exciting to go, okay, I'm getting, $30 every time someone orders Shakeology. That's great. But the truth is, you guys, if you stay in the I do phase for too long, you're going to burn out. You're going to realize, those commissions are nice, but they're not enough to keep me really putting this much time into my business. And you're just going to kind of get, I think burnt out is really the best way, because you're not going to see the potential sort of starting to come from those team cycle bonuses. So we really want to encourage you guys, for those of you who are excited to grow a business, we really need to focus on the we do phase as soon as we can, because the we do phase is when you're not alone anymore. You're not the only one on your team who is working hard, who is trying to help other people. So when you get to the we do phase, you have this team, and it takes a while. Sometimes it takes, and sometimes it takes. You're not going to get people that want to work the business as hard as you right away. It's going to take some time. So what's really exciting though is, and I'm sure a lot of you who have teams underneath of you, when you do finally get that working coach, it's like the best feeling in the world. It's so motivating. You feel like you're not on an island anymore. And so really when we think about recruiting, I just kind of wanted to share some strategies that I use as far as when I reach out to people, and how I attract people through social media. So the first thing that I want to encourage you guys to do, if you have not done it already, is to make a list of 50 to 100 people who you have in your network, in your circle, or acquaintances who would be awesome coaches. And don't think about if they would say yes, because a lot of times we think of someone and I'm like, oh, she'd never want to do it. And you don't know. That's not your call. So right now we're not concerned about whether or not they'll do it. We're just trying to get their names on a list so you have something to work from. A lot of times too, the people on your list are not going to say yes right away. I've had people who I have literally reached out to 3 or 4 times over the course of 6 months to a year before they finally hop on board. And so when you're making this list, keep that in mind, that this is your wish list. But what I want you to do is not only make a list of the people that you think are easy targets. I think that can be kind of our default. It's oh yeah, she'd probably do it. But instead, I want you to write down those names of the people that that kind of scare you a little bit, that you're oh my goodness, she's so successful in already what she does. I don't know if she'd ever consider this. Those are the people that we need to be willing to reach out to eventually, in order to really feel like we're giving everyone in our circle a chance. And I know that's scary. And I know especially for the newer coaches on here right now, you're oh my gosh, I'm having a panic attack. This is really stressful. But if you believe that this opportunity is life-changing, as you have these conversations, you're going to feel really good. Like, it shouldn't feel slimy. It shouldn't feel gross. It's going to feel uncomfortable. But if you always lead with why you're doing it, and you know that if someone was to jump on board with this opportunity, it is going to make their life better. That's where we're at now, is like, we're, 2.5 years in, we're reaping a lot of the benefits of 2.5 years of hard work. And I know that whoever I share this with, if they run with it, again, my job is to invite. That's how we look at it. Our job is to invite. And then when people get onto our team, it's their choice whether or not they're going to build a business. We're not going to drag people along. But the ones that do put in the work, it is going to be life-changing for them. So work from a list. And then what I want to encourage you guys, I was kind of thinking through, what's a sustainable way of reaching out to people? And sometimes I think we put our standards too high. We're like, I'm going to reach out to 5 people every day or whatever. But what if you just made it your goal this month to reach out to 1 person every single day? Like 1. And you're not going to worry about quantity as much as just every single day. And the reason I say that is because you're going to realize in this business that the stuff that you can do every single day that's sustainable, that's the stuff that you're going to then go, okay, well, I'm doing 1 a day right now. I got that down. Now maybe I can move to 2 a day. And you eventually sort of work your way up from there. But I want to challenge you guys, especially those of you who are newer. And for the leaders on this call, I know that you guys can do more than 1 a day at this point probably. I'm really talking that 1 a day to the people who are not consistently reaching out and recruiting other people.
Can I say one?
Yeah,
just one quick snippet to that. When you're reaching out, when you are sharing your story, and then you disappear for 3 weeks, it's not going to work. I mean, there's just no chance that somebody is going to sign up and want to learn from you when you're nowhere to be found. And so one of the things that I challenged, we've got some people that we're working with that we really feel are super close to hitting diamond, and we want to do everything that we can to support them. So we put them in kind of a special group. And one of the things I told everybody to do is try and just follow up with your coaches. Reach out to the people that are part of your business. You might not think they matter, but as you start getting closer and closer to diamond, the more they matter. And the more that their downline matters and who's active and who's not active. And so part of that was me reaching out to some of the people that are actually in my line. And I sent a couple messages out, and I got one back saying, yeah, I've kind of taken a break, but the reality is I can turn it on whenever. And like, I just responded with a thumbs up. I don't think that's actually the case. I don't think it's possible to disappear for 3 weeks, come back, start growing a business again. You have to remember that those are people that are signing up under you. It is your responsibility to develop them, take care of them, nurture them, make sure that they have the resources that they need, make sure that there's not anything else that they want. I mean, that is your job as a coach. Like you are the hiring manager. You are HR. So I think it's very important that we remember that even when we're recruiting, and even taking it as a greater responsibility of our own, that once people come back to you and they want to be a part of your team, then you got the job to develop them as well and make sure that they're remaining active, remaining engaged. But you're talking about going out there and reaching out to people on a daily basis. One of the catchphrases we keep saying is sustainable habits. I want you guys to build sustainable habits, and part of that is also being good leaders and good stewards of the people that are coming to you. But consistency is really what's going to separate good from great in this business.
That's so true. I mean, I think back to the people who have been with us from the beginning, like Kansas just popped on. Kansas has been with us. The ones who are now really reaping those rewards, it's not because they were like doing crazy things every day. It was because they were consistent and they did the vitals every day. And now they have a pretty great business started. So yeah.
I'd also add, just as we're doing some analysis, as I continue to get a little bit more acquainted to this business, the one area that we think we can get better in is follow-up. I mean, we have a massive email list of people that we've reached out to or have requested some information. And to Kansas's point or question, we need to kind of figure that out. What are we going to continue to do? I've got a note here that I wrote down, what's in it for them. I mean, that's truly as someone, I hate to beat this into the ground, but I've been in sales for 10 years, and I'm constantly trying to change the script on somebody, or trying to really figure out, like, one of the first questions that I have with a physician is really, what are they hoping to do? Some of them want clinical research. Some of them want to be on the podium. Some of them just want case support. And until I really understand what it is that motivates them and gets them excited, what's going to get them passionate, I can't sell them. So for me to tell them all about Shakeology and the benefits of Shakeology, while meanwhile, maybe they would be a better candidate for Daily Sunshine, or maybe they'd be a better candidate for our performance line. Those are things that we have to be kind of thinking through. It's very easy to get on the phone or send an email, and it's what I always call show up and throw up. And you just bleh on people, and they're like, that's not even what I want. I would definitely do coaching, but I'd rather do family nutrition than be a fitness coach. Until we know what is their passion, what motivates them, I don't know if we really are going to be able to close them down. But I also wrote down this number. I'll hit this and I'll pass back to you. But if you look at how, we put, 11,000 people in an info page, we've converted about 15% of them, or so, 13 to 15%. So when you think about recruiting and reaching out to people, I don't want to intimidate you, but the reality is, if you're only reaching out to one person and you're hoping that that one person changes your business, the likelihood of it is pretty slim. You're going to need 10 people. Realistically, you're going to have to find 10 people that might be interested, and then probably one of them is going to run with it. Now, you might be a rock star like Kansas or Bridget, and you start getting 30, 40% conversion, but I'm sure they would even tell you, of those 30, 40 people, 30, 40% that sign up, one of them probably sticks with it. So it's so vitally important that we are reaching out on a regular basis, because the numbers are what the numbers are. 13 to 15%, we're going to need more than just one person a month that we're reaching out to.
And for those of you who are kind of new to the sales world, that's really normal. Like to say that you're going to get a conversion rate of 10 to 15%, that's really normal. It's not normal to say, okay, we're going to have 11,000 people and expect that 11,000 sign up. Like, to say that we have 1,500 is actually really good. So, I think that's what we need to keep in mind when you're recruiting, is just to, at least for me, that was really helpful when I learned that piece, because I realized that it wasn't that the business wasn't working for me. It was just that I wasn't reaching out to enough people, or I wasn't having enough conversations. And once I started to do that, then you get more people in. So as far as like, what do I say to people when I'm reaching out to them for the first time? So here's my philosophy. I always think about what would I like if someone reached out to me. And to be honest with you, the thing that pisses me off the most is when someone sends me a message and they're like chit-chatting, like, hey, how are you? Hey, how are the kids? Hey, how was your vacation, or whatever? And it's like back and forth, back and forth. And then they're like, hey, by the way, have you ever heard of Shakeology? Oh, hey, how's your skincare regimen? Like, that to me feels very, like, sort of slimy, in the sense of, at that point, I'm kind of like, did you just reach out to me just so that you could eventually bring up your skincare line? And I don't think that it's like we do it, the people that do it intentionally. I just think sometimes we're nervous to sort of cut to the chase. And it is this fine line, because you also don't want to reach out to someone out of the blue and just say, hey, join my business. But I think that there is some, there's just a really kind of a fine way to do it, where you can, in my opinion, this is just me. If I had an acquaintance from college who thought that I would be good at a business, I guess for me, I would prefer if someone said, hey, and this is what I say to people who I reach out to. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm sure you've noticed that I'm doing a lot with Beachbody. I'm building a Beachbody business. And I can't help but think that what's the line I use is, I can't help, every time I think about your name, like, my heart just knows that you'd be amazing at this. And really speaking to why then they would be amazing at it. So I lead with compliments. And so it's not something where I copy paste, like, hey, you'd be really good at this, and then this is what it is. But it's more like complimenting them on, hey, I've noticed that you've done such a great job, in this career or that career, whatever they're at. And then I kind of ask, have you ever considered doing what I do? Is there anything about what I do that interests you? And then, usually they'll write back, and either they're like, yeah, actually, I have noticed and I'd love some more info. Or a lot of times, again, that 90% of the time, they're going, yeah, thanks so much for thinking of me, but I'm just not interested. But I'll tell you what, people rarely turn down a compliment. They're not going to think you're weird for complimenting them on something that they are good at. And so if you can think of a really great, compliment of what you really, and it has to be sincere. That's the thing about this business is if you're not sincere, people are going to just read through that right away. It cannot be about you. It has to be like you sincerely think and care about them. Let's see. I get stuck on this as I have a relationship building and reconnected in my head before I talk about Beachbody. Yeah, Erin, and you know what? Like that's the thing. Each of us are so different. And so I think if you're attracting someone like yourself, then you have to sort of just think, what would I like? And then maybe the people in your market would prefer that you lead with that. I think it just totally depends on the situation who you're talking to. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I just know that like my life is busy and I don't have time to just chat on Messenger. So when people message me, I'm kind of like, okay, like what's this about? And if they ask me about my family and we haven't talked in years, to be honest, I probably will never get back to them. But again, like people are just at different points, and some people probably, there's probably a stay-at-home mom out there or a mom who has no social connection that if she got a message, she'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. So you really have to keep your audience in mind, I think, when you're sending those messages. And then as far as like when I'm attracting people through social media, I do have an application that I've built and I copied pretty much exactly what Melanie Mitro does for hers. But if you go on my Instagram profile and click on the link, you'll see you can click to the application. And I asked them a little bit about themselves. And this is a great way for me to sort of screen a little bit. Like, for example, last week I had a post that I put up there and I had a lot of interest, more info, please. And then the first thing I do then is like, thank you so much for showing interest. Would you please take a few minutes to fill out this form so I can get to know you a little bit? And right there, if they fill out the form, I know that they're interested and they're a little more serious. If they don't fill it out, then I'm not going to chase them because if they can't even fill out a form, what else are they not going to do? So I really kind of let them come to me if they're interested. And then I've just spent way too much time chasing people who, like, in the end, they're not worth my time. And so, but with that said, again, it's a case by case. Like, I will click on their profile still and I'll be like, gosh, they really would be good. Then I would follow up and be like, hey, did you get a chance to fill out that application? I'd love to chat with you. So again, it's just kind of knowing your audience, really. So that's kind of the recruiting side of things. And like Kansas said before, when you're circling back, that's the second time, it's like, hey, I'm usually like, I just wanted to follow up and see if you thought any more about coaching. Again, your name just keeps coming to mind. I know you would be awesome at this. The third time, I probably will joke a little bit and I'll be like, I'm sure you're sick and tired of me reaching out to you, but I know that you said maybe after you had that baby, you'd be interested and you really would be awesome. And the reason that I started to do that, you guys, was because in the beginning, I was so scared to reach out to people and follow up with people. And then what would happen is they would join someone else's team and I would be kicking myself for not following up. And so during those moments when you're a little bit nervous, you have to just be uncomfortable. And if you know that your heart's in the right place, you guys, like, I'm serious, like, God will bless that. I really believe He will if you're just being a genuinely good person, not because you want to make money off of them or you want them to help you grow a business, but really because you know that it'd be in the best interest of them. So I'll toss it over to you and you can talk about closing. Then we'll open it up for some questions here in a minute.
Well, I talked about, I guess I was saying this before, but when I'm trying to get something accomplished, I feel like you try one direction, and if it doesn't work, then you change the direction that you're trying to approach them at. So when it comes to closing something down, for starters, you absolutely have to know what it is that they want. And as long as you know what they are looking for, you can speak to that. The more personalized, the more customized that it feels, it doesn't feel like it's mass produced. You are speaking specifically to that person and their scenario. You know what they want and you're trying to solve it. If it doesn't seem like it's gonna happen, again, change the script. That's what we really like about the Family Nutrition Ambassador program. That's what we like about being a Beachbody coach, just in its purest sense. And then I know I keep saying the performance line. I love the fact that we also have a performance line. So we have to make sure that we are reaching these people where they're at. We're giving them a couple of different scenarios. I also think people really like timelines and deadlines. So when it comes to closing, I always try and position it as the expiration window is closing. We were just talking about it tonight, getting really religious about doing every single month new coach orientation training. And I think that that's a great thing for you guys to throw out there with people, that, we've got a new coach training that's going to be starting November 1st. So if you are thinking about it, let's get that going right now. Sign up today. People also like incentives. So, I also, at the end of every single quarter, I always try and give some sort of like jumpstart discount for my customers. If I can, I try and get them 10-15% off if they'll bulk for me. So same thing here. If we can do something that's, an incentive, I know we've done gift cards and stuff. What we were laughing about tonight when we were preparing for this is honestly the thing that seemed to work best, goofiest thing, I actually imagine there's probably some of you that fell for it, was when we did the tank tops.
Yeah, that was huge.
It was incredible. We would get messages from people.
Emily was a tank top person.
Oh, really? It seems so simple. And you can get a tank top and have kind of a cool little design on it for $15-20. But it really seemed to make a huge difference for people. And we would get messages saying, hey, I signed up, where's my tank top? So, people passionately wanted those tank tops. So I think, coming up with something, changing the script, giving them a deadline, giving them some sort of incentive.
When you say changing the script, can you like share an example of that?
So I wrote this down. I said it's all about energy. And I think if you have reached out to them, if you've told them that, you were really excited, you think that they'd be a great fit, I wouldn't even mind sending them a message and letting them know how excited you are to now. You just found out that the team that I'm a part of is the number 14 team in the entire network. And I'm really excited because we're growing fast, and I wanted to reach out to you again because we are going to be expanding. And one area, maybe you saw, maybe you didn't, is Family Nutrition Ambassador.
Yeah.
Or, again, like it's all about having some sort of momentum. So again, leading with, I'm really excited. I've got this really, area of my business and I'm looking to develop and grow. And I'm really excited about our performance line. And I'd love to tell you a little bit about it. I think this would really benefit you and all the workouts that you're doing. I noticed that you're a personal trainer at XYZ shop. I think this could be a perfect fit for your customers. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily always have to come back to Shakeology, and for the longest time it has, but you can tell that Beachbody is building out different methods for you to communicate with customers. And so we were actually talking about a potential coach in the UK, and Amber's like, well, she's going to start with Shakeology. And I go, she could be the greatest gold mine we ever came across because she owns all these franchises throughout the UK. And so instead of maybe focusing on her being a Shakeology person and a full-time Beachbody coach, if she's running a franchise, think about it. If she's running a franchise of fitness centers, I'm sorry, I probably didn't even preface that, but they're doing like trampoline fitness. I don't even know what that is, but that's trampolines and jumping, I guess. So, but nonetheless, they've got all these clubs all across the UK, and they just expanded into Australia, and they want to expand into the US. She might not be a great Shakeology customer. Maybe she will, but I think if she is running workout programs, I promise you somewhere in that club there is a performance line, and it might as well be ours. So just changing the script and realizing that different things might motivate different customers, and you might lead with Shakeology and they might say no, and then just present something else. Hey, here's another opportunity. You might not even necessarily need to run a challenge group. All you need to do is just distribute. Just be a distributor. It's the same. Again, I always say it's the same way that Advocare is set up. Advocare isn't doing challenge groups. So they are distributing product, and they sell a lot more of a performance line than we do. Just saying. The other thing that I did, where was I going with that? I got distracted. I don't know. That's really,
that makes sense.
I think that's
so use
really
what we're doing. So you're saying use what we're currently doing as a opportunity, another reason to reach out to people and follow up with them and kind of re-energize them as to why now might be a better time.
Yeah, you just use what's going on. This is what I was going to say. We were talking with some of our family members this weekend, and they go, so what do you feel like has been the biggest change in your business this year? Because we've grown, we've expanded. And I said, what was funny is for the longest time last year, we were watching a number of successful coaches, and we felt like we couldn't keep up. We just couldn't, they always had announcements. They always had exciting things that were going on. And we're always like, how do they always have something that they're sharing? And you guys are probably at a point now where you feel the exact same way about us. Like, we have gotten so good at just thinking about the smallest things that we're up to and using that as a source to kind of change the story just a little bit to make sure that it is exciting and it's worthwhile. And maybe we hold the announcement for a week. Like, notice we haven't announced that we're speaking at Leadership. We'll do that this week. There's just what we found out 2.5 months ago. It's all kind of strategic. And so I want to encourage you guys that with that kind of mindset as well, and be thinking through some of the exciting things that are happening in your own businesses. Because if you start bringing on coaches, or you announce that you're growing, you're expanding, that's way more interesting to people. And they're kind of curious on what that opportunity could look like. Amber did the article with Forbes magazine, and I was like, we could share that. We did Forbes magazine, but nothing's going to come out of it unless we do a call to action and ask for women who are motivated and they want to jump on this opportunity. Now is the time. Fill out this link, right? And we had 50 people respond. So it's just kind of thinking through what are some of the exciting things that you guys are doing, using that as kind of momentum. And obviously we continue to consistently talk about the workouts that we're doing. We can consistently talk about the nutritional side of things, but also make sure that you are sprinkling in things of excitement. You've got your largest challenge group going on. Oh my goodness, just found out that the team that I'm on just was ranked number 14 in the country. I'm so excited. My business is growing. I'm bringing on 5 new women. I'm looking for a couple of people to personally sponsor and develop. Those types of things just get people excited, and it feels like they can be a part of something bigger. Mm-hmm. So I would just encourage you with that.
I have to give a shout out to Erin. Erin McGinnis now, because she's really good at that. If you guys look at her social media, she's really good at using different things that she's doing in her business and creating excitement with it. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool that she gets to do that. I want to do that. So Erin's a great example of how that can be done. Definitely encourage you guys to check that out. What else was I going to say in terms of that? So we have a couple kind of exciting things that we want to talk about that we're going to be running for the entire downline. Mm-hmm. So one idea was something we actually just came up with today, but I think it'll be cool. So we're going to spend time during our this week, and then once we get to London, kind of fleshing it out. But we really want to focus on getting in people's sort of minds where they're at right now as the holidays approach, and they want to look good in that dress or that outfit that they're going to wear to their holiday party. So really just kind of thinking through. I know it can be a tougher time of year because sometimes people are like, I don't care, I need whatever, it's the holidays. But how can we really sort of turn that mindset? So why don't you share about?
Well, I got a question today in our Ignition Mission Fitness Studio about, so do you double up programs, and how do you come up with what your workouts are? And I've just kind of over the last probably 4 months now, been playing around with different workouts and trying to create something that it could incorporate more cardio, could incorporate more core, could incorporate an upper body portion and a lower body, kind of more of a speed and agility type thing, and just kind of building my own custom workout that I really enjoy. And that got us thinking what if we just combined with everybody, made a big push again, because I think there's power in numbers. More people see this kind of stuff when we all do it together, and do something that we were thinking, not that you'd have to do this, but we're going to try and incorporate some cardio into it and help trim the turkey leading up to Thanksgiving. So we're going to help people kind of train in addition to doing their Beachbody workouts, which I think there's a direct correlation to adding some additional cardio. So they'll, walk, run, elliptical, something of additional motion. And then whatever program that you guys are currently going through, or however you want to lead your challenge group. But we were thinking of calling it the Trim Turkey 5K. So training over the next month or so to be able to push yourself, 3.2 miles.
Some people will have, I know some towns will have the turkey trot, so they can do that if they want, but if not, they can just do it on their own. And, at some point throughout the weekend, we'll just encourage people to get a 3.1 run in or walk in or whatever, wherever they're at, because that's going to help them feel, even if they're eating like crap that weekend, if they get 3.1 miles in, they're going to feel good about themselves. I know we always do on those holiday weekends when we get the workout in, but it's kind of a tender time of year as we sort of think through how can we inspire people. And so I think if it's more collective, it will just create that momentum. So we'll land on a date the next probably day or two here, and then we'll get everything rolled out. And we want to kind of roll it out similar to what we did with Take Back the Kitchen, where, again, you don't have to do this. This is really for coaches who maybe you're not super comfortable eating your own challenge group yet, or maybe you're super busy and you don't have time to create a whole new thing. So this is for anyone. We're not going to require anyone to be in it, but Aaron says 10 weeks till Christmas. Isn't that crazy? Oh, that makes me kind of.
But we think this could also be a really easy way for you guys to, get some people to sign up for it. It's going to be something. It's just something different, and I feel like you kind of get conditioned to what a challenge group looks like, or somebody said, sometimes this feels cultish, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we just gotta change the script just a little bit. So instead of fattening up the turkey, we're trying to trim the turkey over the next couple of weeks.
And then the other thing is that we are.
Yes, Lane, that's a great point. You've heard it a couple of times now. You've seen it. This could be just something different, kind of fun. And then if it's a big old group, I feel like that, we've got a good sampling of what that looks like in the membership page for Take Back the Kitchen. You guys are great about posting in there. We would just do the same thing. Just one big fun family of people trying to get in shape to run 3.1 over Thanksgiving.
And then we'll probably somehow incorporate double time and all of that coming up with our Take Back the Kitchen. So that'll be more kind of geared towards the nutrition side of things.
Sneak peek?
Sneak peek. That's what I was going to say.
Well, you go.
Well, we kind of talked on Friday about how it's really exciting. We found out we were number 14 and all of that. And so really, we think the main focus kind of needs to be leading up until the end of the year is just recruiting and making sure that we have solid, sneak peeks. And when we're about coaching, direct them. Yeah, that's a great question. Ashley said, back to recruiting. As a new coach, I haven't been aggressive with recruiting out of fear of not knowing where to direct them if they sign up. If someone wants more information about coaching, where do we direct them, especially when we don't know what this gig is about? Yeah, so that's what this will be, is more of just a sneak peek to share with people what is coaching. If you've been around for a while, you've probably been a part of these. But really what we're trying to get ahead of the game so we can just have these things locked and loaded so we're not recreating the wheel every time. So that will probably happen. We would like to do that while we're in London, just because we find that people will tune in and be like, you're coming in live from London, or, again, it's just creating that excitement for people. Yeah. So we'll follow up with that. And then tomorrow morning, we're finishing up videos for our self-paced. It's run. I don't know if you guys have used Thinkific. It's a kind of an educational learning type thing. And so you can actually be able to go in there. There's different modules that you can click on. It's just our Coach Basics course that Beachbody has that we used to run every month in the Facebook group, but now you'll be able to do that. So we're going to have that finished by the end of the day tomorrow, hopefully.
And we'll also have, we'll probably crank out a bunch on Wednesday, traveling too.
Yeah.
Just more details. So the first thing that's going to be hitting this week is really going to be the recruiting aspect of it. So we're going to be pushing you guys to reach out, get people in. We'll come up with something for a lead generator source just to kind of help everybody out on that one as well. So we'll help that for tomorrow night as far as trying to get people into a sneak peek. So specific to that question, it's just going to be a good place for you guys to park people, and they can learn what this opportunity is. And we'll speak to, I think we just speak to both. We'll speak to, what we're really excited about with Take Back the Kitchen and a family nutrition piece. And we'll talk about what it's like to be a Beachbody coach, because I think, again, we're going to have different people, and that way you guys don't have to worry about who you're throwing in that page. And then following that, because we'll be going kind of into that latter part of October, that's where we would really do, kind of the trim turkey push to try and get people into a really fun, upbeat challenge group for the month of November leading up to Thanksgiving. So one thing at a time. I don't want people to feel overwhelmed. Yeah. There's already enough to do as is, but focus on recruiting this week. And then we're also going to have to do a couple more of these probably, which hopefully is helpful for your guys' business. But we want to make sure that we have left the tank empty come mid-November. So we'll probably do another one of these in a couple weeks as well. So another sneak peek. So we're just kind of thinking through and kind of thinking out loud how we can give you guys multiple opportunities. And then again, when you're at the finish line for something that's as exciting, and I think it could be as big for everybody's businesses as finishing top 10 and getting that recognition, we got to make sure that we've done everything we can.
Mm-hmm. If you're newer and you're not in it's called like 2017 New Coach Mentorship and Family Nutrition Ambassador, something like that. If you're not in there, ask your upline, because I just posted a bunch of videos in there. I think it was Thursday or Friday, specifically about Emerald. In terms of recruiting, there's like videos about why Emerald is in a very important first rank, and also kind of talking through placement too. So be sure to kind of keep your eyes out in there. And that's where we'll also be posting like the information for this Thinkific training when that's finished tomorrow. Do you guys have any questions? Or anything that is working really well in terms of recruiting for people right now? Love to hear your ideas too. So fun to have a great group here. Thank you guys for making it.
Can you guys hear me? I have something.
Yeah, Bridget, hey.
So what I do when I run, because I run my own coach sneak peeks, and what I have done is I've been trying to run at least 2 a month now. And then what I do is on Facebook, you can download the video and then I upload it to YouTube. So when I'm still inviting and I don't have a coach sneak peek, maybe for a couple weeks, I just share that video from my last coach sneak peek with them. Mm-hmm. And so I just say how I have a video, I'd love to share it with you. And so it's pretty much from my last one, but they don't have to go in a Facebook group and see everything from the past. They can just watch that video and then I can have a one-on-one with them.
That's so smart. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's
mm-hmm.
Tessa said, what kind of questions? So if you click on the link, you can literally just look at my form and copy it. But I mean, the questions that I'm asking for people are just like basic first, like first name, last name, email. And then I want to know if they've done a Beachbody program in the past or if they're brand new. I also kind of ask them what their goals are. So I can get an idea of that. The best way to contact them. That's pretty much it. And then some things about how do they envision their life 3 to 5 years from now, stuff like that. But like I said, if you go to the link in my Instagram, you can see the exact questions there. Anything else?
What shirt company do you like the best? We are thinking of shirts for Christmas gifts. I think that's awesome.
That's awesome. We have a connection through Kelsey.
Got a couple of them that we've.
Yeah.
Should we can post them.
Should we post them? I don't.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh, $6.99, Bridget. Of course, you know the great deals. That's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be pretty great.
Etsy. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Maybe we should start a link, like a thread, and then people can share where they've been getting their $6.99. That's like that's gold right there.
Yeah, we can even play with that a little bit for Christmas. The present theme.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that, Emily. That's so great.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Next week, we probably won't have a call, right? Because we'll be in London. And I'm guessing.
That'd be 2:30 in the afternoon there.
No, it'd be like middle of the night.
Oh, true.
8:30. So probably not next week. But then we'll be sure to be on live, like updating you guys while we're there and stuff. So we'll still get to see plenty. You'll probably be sick of us by the end of the week. But okay, well, oh, by the way, with the UK, if you guys have any connections and you have people that you're interested in, like I know Bridget has one, with people in the UK, please let us know, because we would love to connect with them or even just like add them to, we're going to do like a UK group here soon. So anyways, just let us know if we can help at all with those relationships for you. Okay, guys. Thanks, Emily. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you later. Bye.